What's going on YouTube? All my valued viewers, friends, family, allies, even the enemies. Anyone that wants to take a look at what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. A branded deck profile for you today. Got first place in my locals. I actually did a profile or video of this same deck a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, but I kind of messed up when I was doing the video, so I just deleted it, and I figured, you know what, now that I got first place with it, we'll do it again. So I got with us 3 of the Fallen of Albaz. Got the new art and the normal art. New art doesn't really go as hard as the new art of our guy Alvinbird. Got 3 of him. He looks pretty sick. You got 2 of Cartesia, because she still works, and look at that art. Then we got a Quem QCR. Oh, the gang's all here, gentlemen. Bringing up the rear is 1 of the Albion Shrouded. We have a Mercurier and an Ad Libitum. Not playing Tragedy or any of the other fun ones because he is not really any space for it in what we're doing. We're doing a going second strategy where it's like what you really want to do is normal summon Albaz because there's a lot of blue eyes in the meta. So most of the time you want a normal Alvinbird, but this time you kind of want to just normal Albaz or set Albaz so you can do that contact fusion, you know? We got 3 Serenir, a Magnamut, and a Lubellion, because Fiendsmith is still a pretty big part of the meta right now, and to stop someone from getting into that is pretty valuable. That's pretty important. And you don't really want to be screwing around too much. So we're getting a call. Forgot to put on the do not disturb right now. But yeah, sometimes the best thing is to just not let people get into that. And in the going second, when you can hand trap a guy like that, it's pretty good. Got a Dark Magician because I'm still playing the Dragoon package, and actually it does come up still. The I think they're Ryugi. They got this thing where they banish your shit when it's sent from the field to the graveyard or whatever. So sometimes it's better to just make a Dragoon in that case, burn them and attack them. I know that's just the field, but I know Shifter's at 1, but that's still a thing. You got all that other shit, different dimension ground, all sorts of nonsense. So being able to get into something that's not Mirror Jade is a pretty helpful situation. I'll also say that, I'll get to it later. Going second is a pretty good way to play this deck, I found, because you're just trying to FTK. And you can normal summon Albaz and just discard any card like this Sorenir. It's pretty good. But bringing up some hand traps. We've got some Droll and Lockbird action. He's awesome. Droll and Lockbird, and then Mulcharmy Fuwalos. These guys are kind of like hand in hand. The reason I'm playing Droll is because for the first reason of a lot of decks in the format die to Droll. Like as soon as you pop a Droll on them, they kind of don't really know what to do, or they end on a way weaker board than they would have normally. Could be like a SP pass situation just off of Droll. And then Fuwalos, that's like, you've seen the Bestials that we're playing and some of the other hand traps like Droll, and you'll see the side deck. We definitely want to be able to get into certain things. But the board-breaking power of Branded alone, when you have like just extra cards to go into things, it's really powerful. But I'd say the final cool thing about both these guys is they're both brand high spirits targets. You can do Grand Guignol with Droll because he's a spellcaster. You can do Rinbrum with Fualos because he's a winged beast. So even if you end up not really using these guys, they still get a little bit of use auxiliary. I'm also running kaijus here, but they're not kaijus. It's Santa Claus and Radian, because if you open both of like a Radian and a like the Thunder one or a different actual kaiju like Gamma Seal or some shit. For one, most of the other kaijus you can't really do anything like high spirits with the same way you can with Radian because he's a fiend. You can send him and Quiritus with high spirits. And then when you put it on their field, you have to put the kaiju, the other one in your hand on your own field. Whereas with Santa Claus, you can put the Radian on one thing and the Santa Claus on another thing, and then say the rest of their monsters are dragons, you can set Albaz and contact fuse the whole board off, so you basically just broke the whole board with 3 cards. And you still have 2 more cards to go combo. And they're both fiends, so you can do the high spirits thing with them if you don't need to do that type of thing. It's just really good to have cards that you can get auxiliary use out of, like the Mulch Army and the Droll and the Kaijus here. That's kind of it for our monster line. Moving into the spells, we got the 1 branded fusion because Konami said so. We got 1 branded in red because it's really powerful in the end game. So like most of the time what you're going to do with branded in red is make Chimera. I'm not playing Chimera. I'm using it to make Masquerade to go for burn in the end phase. Or like in my opponent's draw phase, if I already used branded Lost Search and I want to do it again on their turn, I'll use branded red to make Masquerade, because what the goal of my turn is to just attack, get his life points as low as possible. Like one of my games yesterday, I left homie off with 600 life points, and then I made Masquerade. Then I explained to him that, like, if you activate another card, you die. And he's like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to concede. I'm like, yes, sir. And going into it, more spells. We have 3 of the branded opening, because we're trying to normal summon Albaz, and that doesn't really get you into the most engine. So having branded opening to special summon Aluber after you do the Albaz thing, it's really helpful into the Blue Eyes board. It's also helpful around Droll if you're not playing against Blue Eyes. We got 3 of the fusion deployment, because if you're not going to normal summon Albaz, you might as well special summon him off a fusion deployment from your deck. And if you don't do that, you still get the thing with Cartesia where she can protect your normal summons from getting impermed or Bailered. But it also comes up where it's like, sometimes you don't even need to do that with Cartesia, and she lets you do double fusion duty with like Lubellion later in the combo. It's pretty sick. We got Branded Lost and Branded Regained, because situationally Regained right now is actually a fair amount better, just for getting monsters onto the field when you're going against specific decks. If you have access to Bestials already, get you deeper into cards. Like if you open it, frickin' A. Or if you open Lost, frickin' A. But when you only have 1 target for Lubellion and you open it, it kind of cuts his utility in half. So having 2 different targets to set off of Lubellion when you do the tribute over Albion, that's really helpful thing I have found. I was talking a lot about high spirits, and here's two of them. So why two and not three if I like it so much? Just because, like, it is a card you do want to see, but seeing multiple of it is a pain in the ass. So one max is enough. If you see the second one, that's just a bad day. And that's kind of just not how we judge our life, by the bad days that we have. If you played three of it, it would further increase the chances you see it in your opening hand in multiples. And that's not what we're looking for, especially since it's searchable. So if I was playing a different style of deck, like my Fiendsmith one that I made, or a Chimera or something like that, I would be playing it at 3 copies. But for now, there's no point. 2 is enough, because with 1, you're never going to see it. With 2 or with 3, you're going to see it too much. It's like the Goldilocks zone, you know? One ofs, because Konami said so. We got Called By. Got that new art. Got Harpy's Feather Duster. Got that lucky art. We got the Triple Tactics Talent. So these are just really good, especially if you're going second. Going second into most boards and you have Feather Duster. If you just hard open it, super nice. But it's also really nice to search either of these cards or Branded Fusion off of Triple Tactics Thrust, because you can do that. Only playing 2 of it, but again, with the situation of branded opening, it by itself is not going to do anything. It relies on other cards around it or other situations. So if you open multiples of it, it's like, what the hell, man? But if you open multiples of Super Poly, it's not once per turn. Makes some of your other useless cards a lot more useful. There are no useless cards. Final card is Branded Retribution. The field effect actually comes up a lot in the current format, because it's a speed 3. Not a lot of things can respond to that. So you also get your resources back. It's pretty skuckum. It's pretty nice. Go into the extra deck here. Got 2 of Mirajade. Mirajade goes hard, especially when you can just Super Poly and Albaz with one of your opponent's monsters, like their boss monster, and they can't do nothing. Got that Lubellion, because Lubellion's just sick. But you only need one of them, really, because that's just like product management. If he gets Fenrir'd and you can't really continue to play the game, then there's kind of a little bit of an error in the hand you got, or you just got really unlucky. Usually him getting banished with Fenrir is not as big a deal as if one of the other cards that's more important that I'm playing as a 2 of got banished. But we also got Albion, the branded dragon there. He is at a 2, because sometimes you gotta banish him and Albaz to make Mirajade, so that you can send the second one off of Mirajade's effect. Sometimes it doesn't always work so clean. Got Titaniclad, because he gets us into Quem and everything in the end phase, and through the normal combo that we're doing, we already get Albion, and since we're going second, we're already using Mirajade's effect, so we're either going to be sending Titaniclad or Rinbrum here to fulfill this effect. And we'll always end with 2 branded fusion monsters, like fucking one of these guys in the graveyard. So as many of those as you can get, awesome. Titaniclad's a really good one. Alvinbird is actually the whole reason I'm playing this deck in this current format, because I know there's a lot of blue eyes running around. Know there's a lot of dragons running around. So the whole thing with this guy is if you summon Albaz on your field, if you have him on the field in any way, you can contact fuse any dragon monster on the field into this guy that can be used as a fusion material. That means that Ryugi dragon. That means like Flamberge back in the day. That means like Quasar. A whole bunch of monsters can get turned into this. Your opponent's whole Blue Eyes board can get turned into this. Like yesterday, my matchups were Blackwing, Dinos, and Blue Eyes. Not in that order. And all of these decks played a lot of dragon monsters. They all ended on a dragon monster. Blackwings and on Blackwing Dragon. Fucking, I'm pretty sure that thing is a dragon, not a winged beast. Like they end on the dragon one, not the winged beast one. The Blue Eyes, you know they're ending on dragons. The Dinos, even though it says dinosaur, they're still ending on dragons. You got that Ryugi dragon ritual pendulum monster. That one, got a Bulbasaur, that guy, all sorts of them. Situation yesterday that came up was my opponent had a Dolga, that Ryugi guy, Conductor Tyranno, something else, and Varudris with 2 material up on board. So I had to drop the Radion on the Varudris, set the Albaz, contact fuse off the Dolga and the Ryugi monster. And then from there, all I really had to deal with was UCT. And I still had like many cards in my hand because Fualos had resolved earlier. So that was a game that we were winning. Got 2 Grand Wignalls. Got Masquerade, because he, as I was saying, is the time thing. If you can't just kill your opponent in direct battle through engine and like all that, in the end phase you can use this guy to set Brandon in red. You'll probably have an Albaz from the contact fusion in your graveyard, or you should have a Despian in your graveyard, whether it's like one thing or another. You can use this thing, summon out your Quem, and then send your Albaz when you set that. It's kind of like knowing you need to get into that, because your opponent can't really deal with that if they have, I'd say, 1800 or less. If they only have 3 effects left, unless they really luck out, they can't really deal with that in the rest of the board. We got more Despian things like this Queritus. It's very helpful. And we have Proskenian, sorry. We have Despian Proskenian, because when you normal summon a Luber, and then you have the Super Poly, man, your opponent better pray they're not on some, like, Azamina White Forest jank, or, like, anything where they're going to end on that Ilias Silvera and a Fiendsmith Desiree, like a light and a dark monster, plus your Despian and Super Poly. You got that, and then you're saying, screw your board. Following up the rear, we have the Dracostapelia and the Dragoon. They are the alternative options that we have. If all of this just doesn't work, we can still do all of this. And the Yu-Gi-Oh game today, you kind of need to be real diverse in what you're doing. You can't just be wholeheartedly into one line of thinking. While I'm still in the extra deck, I'll say one other thing that Albilenidus is really good for is, say you got Albaz or Albion and a Serenir. You know what? No, actually, this is going to be better. It will be better if I just use Albion, wherever he may roam. you use Albion and Serenir on the field because he's treated as Albaz. You can contact fuse just them two as though you were doing a link summon into Albalenitis. And then you can trigger your Serenir. And you can also, if you didn't do his effect yet, to get him on the field, Albion. So, there is something you may not have heard of or thought of someone doing, but I guarantee you it should come up. If you're not going against a dragon-based deck, you should be able to use that monster in that fashion. Rolling into the side deck. To end it off, to play us out, we have the side deck. Got 2 of Perulia. Why 2 instead of 3? Because I'm going to be swapping it out with either the other Mulch armies in my deck or some other engine cards that I don't really need for the current matchup, like Serenir or High Spirits. I'll be swapping it out for those because most decks do, they get hit by Fuwalos really hard. But some decks get hit way harder by Perulia in the standby phase. Like Kashtira, you drop that thing on him in the standby phase, you're drawing mad cards. And you're not getting hit by no Kashtira nonsense like the Unicorn because they haven't summoned it yet. So, post side, Perulia is a lot better than pre-side in the main deck. Especially if you have knowledge of what your opponent's playing. You got the 3 Dogwood. Dogwood's different because we actually really want to see that, even in multiples going into round 3. Because you're not going to just be shotgunning this the same way you would Perulia in the standby phase or before your opponent does anything. You got to play this in response to an effect to summon a monster. You got to make fucking sure that you get them life points, buddy. Because if you don't, you're kind of going to get your life points cut in half. Your opponent's going to just combo the hell off. You're going to lose. That's just for round 3. You play that to stop your opponent from playing the game. Same way as you would with Droll. I would probably side the 3 copies of that out for Droll. I got the 2 Nibiras. Because Nibira is another one of those where it's like a turn skip. Just like Droll. Just like the Dogwood here. And the other cool thing about it is the token that Nibiru summons to your opponent's field is Light attribute. So you can normal summon Albaz, suck up the token into Albion, and then banish Albion and Albaz from the graveyard. And make your Mirror Jade. And so from there you already have 6k on the board. If you have a single Bestial and your opponent has another monster that you can interact with Mirror Jade, you win from there. Nibiru increases some lethality in this deck. I only got 1 Lancia right now. Not that I only own 1 Lancia, I'm just only playing 1. Don't ask me why. I should probably just not play the 1 Lancia and play another copy of other cards. I've got Garura and Myriologic Aggregator, because that goes into me playing Ultimate Slayer. Ultimate Slayer is pretty good with the Super Poly side out because some of your opponents, they aren't going to be very easily Super Polyable. So at that rate, Slayer becomes more useful. But right out the gate, I would not say that Slayer is more useful than Super Poly in this deck. Because Albaz, Aluber, Cartesia, Quem, all those cards interact with a lighter dart-based deck super hard if you have Super Poly. But if your opponent's on Mermail or something, you better hope you draw that Slayer, buddy. Slayer and a Kaiju, that's what you want. We got 2 Book of Eclipse, because Book of Eclipse does go hard. That's probably the one that I would play 3 copies of instead of Lancia. But sometimes that's just the way she goes. With the side deck, that kind of wraps up all of what I came here to talk about. Yeah, this is a going second build because I figured the power of branded just already by itself out of the gate. I've encountered a lot of situations where you're clearing boards better than you're setting up boards. So that's going to be like the whole thing about it, and that's where I'm going to end it off here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, got some good ideas. That's what really matters, is that it might have tickled your fancy in a certain way or another. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, first place.